they are talking about how universal these stories are, because they do make changes, and it's interesting to see what changes they make depending on the time. But part of the reason the adaptations are so different is not necessarily that they're making fundamental changes to the text, but rather they're focusing on the things in the text that are more relevant to the time.
Yeah.
But if you pull the whole thing out, all of it's relevant all the time.
Yeah.
You just have to make choices when you're making an adaptation. And so that's why the focus is on different moments in the story and different ways to understand who Rochester is. Because we've talked about the fact that, yeah, Toby Stephens is the softest way to interpret Rochester, but it's not inherently inaccurate.
Yeah.
There's parts of the way he treats Bertha that are inherently inaccurate. But for the most part, it's just establishing a tone that's softer than some of these other tones.
Exactly. It's kind of like what we've talked about a lot, where it's like with books like these that have so much content, you can kind of decide how you want to tell the story and still, like you say, just kind of pick and choose.
It reminds me a lot. These books are so relevant still, I think, for the same reasons. I can't remember who it was. It could have been Taylor Swift, but honestly, it could be anyone. Some songwriter, I saw an interview of them where they talked about how often they will write songs that are deeply personal about very specific things that happened in their life. And they used to worry that they wouldn't be as relatable to people, but they found over time that the more specific, the more personal you write it, ultimately, the more universal that experience and art becomes, because you're representing something that is a deep truth about humanity. And I think that that's what these books have, and that's what these adaptations and why they've been adapted so many different times, even just by the BBC, because they're always relevant, because they're representative of deep truths about humanity.